Let's go. أنا
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Salam Ali. Good morning. How are you, Mr. Munir?
عليكم السلام. I'm doing good. How are you?
Alhamdulillah, I'm doing wonderful. What do you we got 20 loyal viewers, man, that follow this daily, and we need
That's
to
good.
make sure we're upholding the integrity of the show and delivering fantastic news. So I'm gonna
Indeed.
be I'm working on some behind the scenes upgrades for presentation, for how things are laid out, for all of that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
We're an advanced, group, so we got to make sure we come with the tickers and sliders and animations and different things.
Have you ever watched like first couple of episodes of Joe Rogan Experience?
I have.
It's like Zoom call with Graham Hancock, and he's in England. This guy's here, or with the web camera that's so bad.
The difference is, man, Joe Rogan has interesting stuff to say, and he's fun to listen to. We're not fun to listen to, nor do we have interesting stuff to say.
Right now,
We
but that
have
can change,
we have to rely on sound effects and pop-ups and fancy things.
right? Firework.
Yes, sir. Watch. You don't have him. You gotta have this camera.
Gotta get that camera.
Which dispatcher would be the best driver?
Um,
Management included.
Vandid, Vedad,
Vandid.
Vandid,
Ooh,
as the drivers call him, Vandid.
Vandid. Wow. Vandid would be an interesting one, man. He's a very analytical fella. So he would be one of those guys. We had a few drivers in the past that were very analytical. Um, I was blown away by one guy in particular who came and said, "Well, I keep spreadsheets and I put every single penny I spend and earn there, and I have calculations in my budgeting for maintenance fees. So from every dollar I make, I know that I don't know what he said, like 9 cents or something goes towards maintenance. So I budget that away and how much I spent for fuel and washing my clothes and taking showers and food and every single thing. He said he developed such detailed spreadsheets. Ironically enough, he had his van repoed because he couldn't keep up with payments.
No, not funny,
Moral of
but
the Yeah, no,
not
it's not
funny, but
funny, man. It was a really good driver or a good guy, a responsible driver. Um, but no matter how good your system is, man, you got to put the work in, and things have to go your way.
indeed.
Now we have other drivers that have no idea how much they spend on anything, nor are they very careful with their money, and they're still out there chugging along.
Here's the thing about some of the my experience with some drivers. There's a type of driver that will work all year except 2 weeks
Hmm.
or 3 weeks when he's on vacation, and he works regardless. If he made 5,000 last week, he works.
Right.
And then there are type of drivers that will make 5,000 and then chill for 2 weeks,
Yeah.
and then it happens that they're without money because
Mhm.
they spent everything in those 2 weeks. So
Right.
it is a difficult life, I know, but it's I think it should just be observed as any other profession. Any other profession, people will um do 2, 3 weeks of vacation every year and then
Yeah, it's tough, man. It's tough because every other profession, they also come home at
come home
5
every night.
p.m.
Yeah,
or 10 p.m.,
that's
and they
correct.
have weekends locked in and you know, the way that I always see it is everyone's circumstance is different. Some drivers, they have multiple kids. They have kids who are in college or approaching college and they need to pay it. They have a mortgage. They have, other family, sometimes overseas they need to support.
Hmm.
And they understand their role and they grind and work hard. Other people are at a stage of their life where they don't have to work as hard. And, maybe they've built careers other places and now they've transitioned to this and they don't have as many dependents. So they're able to take more of a relaxed approach. It's tough, man. But we had one guy, one of my favorite drivers, man, as a person. Um, he had a sick daughter, I believe, who was severely, handicapped at home. And it was a very, very difficult balance for him, because you've got to pay bills and you got to work to do that. And then your family literally needs you. It's not like they desire you at home, but they literally need you at home. Um, I've said this a million times and I'll say it again. The hardest, one of the hardest jobs is being a professional driver because of the sacrifice it takes. I mean, physically or whatever, it's not easy. Nothing, there's many jobs that are not easy, but it's not the most difficult from that aspect. I mean, you're sitting down and for large chunks of time, you're not even dealing with the ridiculous traffic and other stuff. You're driving on a clean and normal road. Um, Man, you see this Noor that's coming into my room since I started this praising or not praising, but complimenting the drivers. It's like a approval and blessing from above.
I see something. Is that some kind of sunshine coming from
It's
somewhere?
sun rays. It's Noor. It's I mean it's something. It's some kind of a sign of approval. What I'm saying. Um, Astaghfirullah, that's not the right thing to say, and it's probably not.
Yeah, it's not.
It's
Let's
not.
stay humble,
Okay.
brother. Stay humble, brother.
Astaghfirullah. Okay. But yeah, it's tough being on the road. Like I said, physically, I mean, it's not obviously the most difficult job, but when you take it all into account, and an element that is seldom talked about is like the popular phrase of today, the mental health, being alone in your vehicle. Um, a lot of times, like when you call someone, when you call back home, you're not a burden for the people you're calling, but they've got something going on. If they call their wife might be in the middle of cooking, she might be in the middle of helping the kids with homework, that she might be in the middle of this, that, or the other thing. So the guy's just sitting there hoping to talk for like 5 hours, if you could, because he's got a 10-hour ride, and the other person is like, love you with all due respect, I've got a bunch of stuff. So yeah, it's tough, man, and I'm very grateful for the group that we have, and that's why we try to work so hard
Right?
to maximize their earnings, minimize their waiting time, and all that good stuff. Who would be the worst driver of our dispatch team?
Probably myself.
Yeah,
I don't know. I don't like night driving.
yeah,
I would have to be not be an expedite probably.
yeah.
Have to drive
More
big trucks.
more of a taxi guy.
More of a Uber guy.
It's not bad. Ubering, man, it's one of those gig things. It's called gig work. Um, those jobs were very popular and they still are, and people are still able to make okay money, but it's on the decline. It's going down. And there's a lot of people that have gotten used to the convenience of those where, you're not responsible to anyone. No one has any control over you. No one tells you when to start, when to drive, when to stop. And that idea made it very popular and very attractive, for people to develop this sense of like my boss, my employer, my company shouldn't tell me what to do. I make my own decisions. Don't, like, but now the tide is shifting in the other way, and we're going back to people understanding that's just not how it works, right? Because it got so saturated. Everybody wants to be an Uber driver now, or Uber Eats or whatever.
Yeah. Similar thing happened with the cargo van industry.
Yeah, it did. It did actually. All right, so let's dive in to
Let's
statistics. How was yesterday, Munir? How did your team perform yesterday?
That's
How did you and your team perform yesterday?
that's a that's a right question to ask, I guess. Um, it's either the good or the bad day, and lately on these calls, I've been coming or we've been coming with average type of days or even bad days, and there's always nuances to things, of course. So yesterday was we only booked 38 loads, practically 37 drivers were booked with 8.55% bid win ratio. So
You know
every ninth
what's
load.
worth pointing out? We actually, the drivers that were booked yesterday made better money on the loads that they were booked on than any other day this week.
Yeah, I was
Well, by
going
any
there.
other day, I should say Monday.
Yeah, I was I was going into that direction.
Proceed onward.
45 loads Monday, 38 Tuesday. Even though we had seven loads less, our drivers made more, and some of them were booked on a longer loads, and that's probably the reason why the numbers on the revenue end as well um, increased. So that's a good thing to see, but still, sometimes that's normal thing. You can book 60 loads, and then you can book 50 loads, and your drivers are earning more on the 50 loads. It really depends on the quality of the loads. That's something we overlook sometimes. What is the quality of the load? And when two loads next to each other are not the same, of course, one load Ohio to Indiana is not the same as load going from Ontario to Tennessee. It cannot be because the quality is different. So that's sometimes overlooked. So I guess the drivers that were booked yesterday were happier than the drivers that were booked Monday. And I know who's not happy, drivers that were not booked today, yesterday or Monday. Of course, we have some that were not booked from yesterday. So that's where our focus is right now, and that's what we're trying to do right now, and get those drivers booked.
How much did our drivers make? Did you could do the math yesterday on average, the ones that were booked?
The ones that were booked, I didn't do the math before the meeting. Like we kind of started talking about something else, but I can
So
try
it's
to.
824 was the average load pay they got
Oh, cool.
on average.
That's
Whereas Monday was 680, right? So it's like what is that? Or 683. So like
100.
100 and what 40, $150,
Yeah, difference.
about $140 on average per load for the ones that were booked. Um, we're updating our systems. I want to just give people a quick behind the scenes peek into one thing that we're doing. So let me share my screen really quick. This is going to reveal some numbers, some people, but yeah, it doesn't matter. People are understanding and all of that good stuff. Two things I want to share, okay? Actually, let me do this. Any operational things worth mentioning?
Um, Yesterday we didn't have significant problems, operational issues. Once again, a problematic part for us again was Quebec. I think we still have
Quebec?
one. Yes, Quebec. We still have one driver left up there, not booked, which is not nice to see. We had problems out of Texas as well yesterday. I mean, Texas is kind of the always problematic, but sometimes more, sometimes less. Yesterday, Texas was really problematic to get drivers out of there. Um, Hopefully, we'll be able to turn the tide today. So that's
Mm-hmm.
the problem issues, or those are the issues that we had when it comes to booking drivers. We we still have two drivers in Montreal, so we got to do better today.
Yeah, we're gonna lower our rates, our percentage as much as we need to get them booked. I mean, if it means they're literally making nothing on loads, then we'll do that, no problem. But yeah, we got to get people moving, man. Last thing we ever want to do is have people lose multiple days. And it seems like that's unfortunately what's happening there. So what I want to share is really quick here because I like to keep people updated on these things. Okay. Um, so two things, right? One, is this not working? Okay. So this pit, I've talked about it before, it's prime idle time. It's looking at the amount of time you're waiting between the hours of 8 a.m. and 6 p.m., right? Because waiting available for loads during those hours is obviously more impactful, means more than waiting during night hours, because everyone understands chances for a load are lower anyways, right? So I have three drivers up here. I'll blur their names. This guy has been waiting for 9 hours of pit. So that means that right now, at the time of this recording, it's 8:15 a.m. Central. So he's been waiting since 9 a.m. Central yesterday, right? Because you get up to from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. is 9 hours, right? 9 to 6.
Yeah.
Yeah, 9 hours. Um, and then during the night, and that actually makes sense here. Last delivery counts how many hours since the last delivery. So he delivered a load yesterday at 9 a.m. He's been waiting for 23 hours since right now it's 8 a.m. And there's 8 hours of that time is considered a pit hours, right? This guy is in the same boat, or gal, and this one is as well, actually. So all three of these. Now, currently, what happens and what makes it a little bit difficult for our dispatch team to keep up with some of these things is if, let's say, any of these guys go out of service, this 9 resets to 0. So like last night, if any of these guys went out of service and then came back in service today, it would say 0 hours here. And the problem is when dispatch comes into work and they see 0, they don't know if it's because the person just went out of service for a few hours, or if it's because the person has been out of service for a couple of days, really not available. So we're fixing that to where unless like if you stay out of service for a whole day, then it'll reset to 0. But if you're out of service just overnight, it's still going to continue to show us how long you've been in service without a load. So that's going to help us, react better to some of these cases. And then the other thing is we added this discount here. We talked about that in one of the previous videos. So you guys will be receiving calls from our dispatch team explaining, you've been waiting for a day. We advise applying this pit-based discount. And what would happen is your percentage would go down, or your rate per mile would go down. Our percentage that we add on top of that would go down as well. So instead of us bidding, $1,000 on a shipment, we would maybe bid 900 because you've been waiting. So, expect those calls where they're going to be explaining and offering that ability to slightly reduce the rates in order to get you booked faster. And then we're also adding another thing where drivers who have had a couple bad weeks in a row, we're going to be reducing our percentage. So instead of us maybe making whatever 14, 15, 16% on their loads, we would reduce it down to 10, 11, 12%, which makes the overall bid amount smaller, right? And then also asking if they are wanting to reduce their percent as well. We're not talking about a dramatical difference. We'd be talking about maybe instead of, again, making $600 on a load, you might get 575 or 550. But if it means getting booked faster, then it's a win. I wanted to share that behind the scenes stuff. I do want our drivers to understand what we have going on. In times like this, I mean, I wish that we could snap our fingers and we could change things. Um, we're doing everything we can, man, within our capacity. We have a full-time salesperson who's making over 100 calls a day to try to find new customers for us. So, literally 500 calls a week plus, 500 to 700 calls a week. Those customers will help us get more direct shipments for our guys. We're continuously looking at updating our pricing, updating our structure, updating how our dispatch operates. And, we talked about before we started recording, we can't wait to be able to come on these and talk about how every single driver got booked and this and that. But I mean, it is what it is, man. You got to go through the bad times to get to the better times, and all we can do is try to provide the best guidance and the best support, and kind of go from there.
That's right.
Anything else operationally or anything else for the drivers you want to go over?
Operationally, nothing else. Just one small words of wisdom, short, that kind of aligns with what we talked especially at the beginning of this call, a meeting, recording. Your work is going to fill a large part of your life, as it does more so to you guys than anyone else. And the only way to be truly satisfied is to do what you believe is great work. And the only way to do great work is to love what you do. That's Steve Jobs, and it really resonates. If we're unable to love what we do will not be great.
Mm-hmm.
And in your case as well, it's not just about picking up on time and delivering on time, even though that's the gist of it. But
Mm-hmm.
really, you will feel better. You will not say my life sucks, or you will not say the life sucks if you tend to love what you do. And of course,
Absolutely.
it's easier to love what you do when it's paid better, and when it's paid well. So hopefully, on our end, we can work to correct that.
Fantastic, man. Thank you for sharing that. We'll wrap up there. We'll share this with our crew, and hopefully tomorrow we're gonna come in and we're gonna have what's, let me see. Let me look at our numbers. What's the most amount of loads we booked this month?
In a day,
Yeah,
well, let's check.
51, 56.
56.
Okay, we're gonna come in tomorrow booking 57 loads, right?
Inshallah. Let's go.
Roll that out to the team. Let them know we've made a commitment to 57 loads. Nobody's going home until we book 57 loads.
Let's go. Let's go, man.
Salam alaik. Be safe, everyone.
Inshallah. You too.